I have to say I was pretty blown away by the first season of Arcane. The city of Piltover was beautiful and intriguing, and it made for an awesome backdrop to the story. The cast of characters was pretty flawless, where nearly all of them shined in their own way, with only a few minor exceptions. It had plenty of cinematic moments that resonated with me long after I watched them, and of course, the animations were beautifully colored and styled to the point where almost every frame of the show could have been a painting in its own right. Vi and Jinx had an epically tragic story that made the world feel complex, as well as giving the narrative a good emotional drive. It was something that I couldn't tear my eyes away from. After watching the first episode, I ended up glued to the sofa all day, binging the rest of the season while surviving on the last of the coffee grounds and burnt Pop-Tarts that my mother slides under the door to the upstairs. She said that I could come out after the election, but I think she went out to protest and forgot that I was down here. Anyway, as I was saying, Arcane was a really good show that people liked, so you can imagine that I was pretty excited for Season 2 to roll around, and after waiting like 5 fucking years, it finally did. And boy was I happy. So happy in fact, that I ignored the steep drop in the writing quality of the show. I just sat there admiring all the pretty colors and simping over all the easy emotional beats that the story played through. Oh wait, did I say ignored? I meant I really noticed because this season fucking sucks. Number 1. Story structure. So it seems that the audience is pretty divided so far on whether they think Season 2 is good or bad. Some people seem to think that this is still the Mona Lisa of animated television, while others are mildly disappointed. However, the truth is that it's bad. And I imagine that many of you are already raising your LARPing gauntlets in rage at me for saying this, but it's true. Like taking a shot of heroin, it comes on slowly and then takes you into this blur of nice feelings, but overall has the vibe that there's something missing from the whole experience. A major reason for this is plot structure. You see, in Season 1, the show had a solid and tightly written storyline that was clear and easy to follow. In other words, the audience always knew what was going on. It wasn't simple, mind you, the story was rather complex, but it was explained in a way that gave us a solid grasp over the current situation. But now, while I'm watching the show, it feels like I'm constantly playing catch up on what's really going on. While my lack of understanding could be due to the amount of experimental drugs I consumed in primary school, I think the writers are really to blame for this. For example, there's this scene where Jinx is fixing up this mechanical arm for Savika. Suddenly, the room starts to fill up with green poisonous gas called the Grey, and it's revealed that Vi and her team are there to find Jinx. But after some scurrying around for a bit, Jinx manages to escape unnoticed. Okay, so this whole bit with Vi and her team comes out of nowhere. There's no lead up with either the gas or the fact that Vi and Caitlyn had made it to Zon in the first place. They just appear there. So the audience is left to scratch their heads and wonder what's really going on. What is the green gas? What does it do? How is Caitlyn controlling the gas? Why are they using it in this location? Why is the gas called the Grey if it's green? Now all of this is kind of explained in a short montage in the next episode, yet this only happens after the scene plays out. So I guess Caitlyn's family designed the air ducts in the city and created this smog called the Grey, and Caitlyn now uses it to clear out the streets of Zon? Is that what happens? I don't know, because the show does such a shit job at telling us what's actually going on. Having the strike team show up out of nowhere is fairly jarring as well, because in Season 1 we see that coming and going from the Undercity to Piltover isn't the easiest thing to do. So simply appearing in Zon, unchallenged, is strange because we know that the hostilities between both sides have been growing. It would have flowed a lot better if the writers had included a scene where Jinx and the strike team are shown entering Zon. They could use the gas on some thugs to show the audience how it works and why they use it. Then have them interrogating a few people on where to find Jinx. Maybe they hit a dead end. Then Vi sees some kids playing in the street with toy guns, and she has an epiphany, and says something like, "I know where to find her." Then the scene cuts to Jinx tinkering the old arcade where they used to hang out. So this way, when Vi and Caitlyn show up, we're not asking all these questions as to what's going on. This scene shows how janky the writing has been in these first 3 episodes, but it's definitely not the only one. I mean, the strike team itself is also an example of how rushed and messy the story is. We hardly know any of these characters besides Vi and Caitlyn. Like, who is this guy? He was literally a bum in the first episode, but after one night of drinking with Vi, he's given the authority to join a crucial team of enforcers? Or how about these two people? We get one solid conversation with Maddie, but her partner hardly speaks. Sure, they have this small part in the battle at the ceremony, but that's really the extent of what we get to know about them. They are then put on the strike team, which we only see in action through a short montage, and then the team is sent home by Vi and Kate before we actually see them do anything. I mean, collectively, these characters might have, 3 lines of dialogue? So what was the point of having them in the story? They don't add or do anything that Vi and Caitlin couldn't do on their own, and they are also sent away before the big climactic battle. As I said before, having a few scenes of this team in action would have made their plotline a lot more compelling. We should have been shown a bit more of who they are and how they operated as a team. It's not difficult to do this. Arcane had essentially the same idea in the first season. Vi had a group of ragtag street kids that we got to know pretty well. Vi was the leader, Milo was the lockpicker, Clagger was the muscle, and Powder was the sidekick. All of these characters had a dynamic that added to the larger group. So when they got killed off, it felt pretty gripping to both the people in the story as well as the audience. The writers could have imitated this idea pretty easily and put it into the new season. You already have a new ragtag team that Vi is a part of, so just give them a bit more screen time so we can actually get to know them as people. Also, don't push them to the side for no reason right before the big climactic fight. So when they confront Jinx in the 3rd episode, there are higher stakes involved because we care more about the team and what could happen to them. It really doesn't make any sense that Vi and Caitlin decide to send the team away in the first place. Like, this is what they came here to do, right? To stop Jinx? So why split up the team right before they do that? Vi has this lame excuse that Jinx will use the team's fear against them or whatever. But that doesn't really end up being true because we see that having more enforcers would have definitely helped with capturing or killing Jinx. Caitlin and Vi almost do this on their own, so having a few more helping hands would have probably meant their success. So let's take a second to summarize how this plotline could have been great. First of all, we see the strike team in action, so we get to know the side characters as well as their team dynamic. We see them go through trials and tribulations in order to find Jinx. They risk their lives and go through a great effort to achieve this goal. After finding out where Jinx is hiding, Vi tells Caitlin that she's unsure if they should proceed and thinks that it could be a trap. She says something like, "Revenge isn't worth it if we lose more of our people." Caitlin, however, still motivated by her rage of losing her mother, is unconvinced and decides to move forward as planned. Then, when the team arrives at Jinx's hideout, it's revealed that Vi was right, that it was a trap, and in the fight, some of the team gets killed, like Maddie or the lizard guy or something. This would only enhance and justify Caitlin's rage, as well as making Vi's decision all the more difficult. This would also justify the sappy breakup scene between Vi and Caitlin a lot more, because the emotional stakes are even higher. But no, instead we get characters that we hardly know taking up valuable screen time to do nothing. Oh look, the big homeless guy disapproves of Caitlin's fascistic regime. Oh no! I guess my point is that the story seems to be all over the place in these first 3 episodes. We get a bunch of shit that the audience hardly understands, followed up by characters nobody really cares about.